Hi, Vikas. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Balakrishnan. Thank you for having me here.
Because you have founded this company, this very exciting startup, Boson White Water. You changed the name midway as well. Uh, Before we dive into what the company does, tell us more about what your background is. I see that you have a bachelor's degree in electronics. How did you transform into starting a company that refines wastewater?
Right. Thank you. Actually, the entity's name is still Trans Water System Private Limited, and brand name is Boson White Water. So, prior to getting into water industry, I used to be working in the investment banking field in the UK. I was in London between 2002 and 2008. So, I was writing C++ code. So, I did that for 5 years. And then see when you go outside India to make money, the intention was to make a lot of money, come back to the country, and set up a bungalow and live. So I also wanted that after my engineering. So I worked for Motorola, one company here in Bangalore. I worked for a few other companies. I all short, 8 months. The day I don't like, I leave. Things like that. I've been and then moved to UK. I've had stable career there, 2 years and 3 years with two different companies, and then. During see when you go outside the country, right, first 2 years you enjoy the other country, you go roam around, see France, see Paris, Paris, Russia, so all that I did. And then after 2 years it looked like, now I know how to make money, meaning, is it something which I want to do throughout my life? I had a question. And then you suddenly become patriotic. You start blaming the politician back home and things like that. So in one of the Christmas parties, we were discussing we'll all go back and do something in our country. All that we discussed, and next day I went and resigned. It was a Christmas party. I had 4 5 months notice, something. So I resigned and came back in 2008. So for the past 16 years, I've been in the water industry.
So this was a
So
very impromptu decision that you made one fine Christmas party.
it was very impulsive. People said if I'd stayed for say 6 more months, I'll get citizenship, all that I can apply. But I didn't want plan B because I knew that if there was plan B and then you have to take some difficulties back home, you will always look at other options. So I didn't want plan B. So plan A, only A. So I decided to move back. So when
Yeah,
I moved back,
sometimes if you have a backup plan, you will always think twice and go to the backup plan. So sometimes it's just always to only have only plan A and just do it.
correct. So when I was in the flight back, I was thinking, will I go back? Will I go back? I was thinking I should go back only if I become a proper businessman, solving something significant in the country. Only then I go back. So I made that decision. But first 2 years was very difficult, meaning straight away from Tower Bridge to plumbing shop in the hot sun, working with welders. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know whether you're doing it right or not. First 2 years were really difficult, but now if I see it's worked out really well for us. We're creating some significant work. We always thought large companies will come and do some significant work. We didn't know that we ourselves will end up doing some significant work. But now it all looks good. So
Yeah, large companies never do significant work. That's why they are large. So this has been the story throughout history. You name IBM or General Motors. It took a Tesla to push other companies to move towards electric vehicles, right? So sometimes it's not sometimes. I think all the time it's always the smaller companies that solve a significant problem, and then once they go IPO and then they are answerable to their shareholders, then they want to
they also
maximize
become
the yeah, they want to maximize profits. And then comes the whole consultancy part. They reach out to Bain and Company, McKinsey, and then like, what do I do to make my shareholders happy? And then yeah, then it
correct.
all
It goes that route. Yeah.
yeah. uh, Excellent. So you had a degree in electronics, and you were working in London, and you were coding. How did wastewater catch your attention?
See, there are three incidents which happened during childhood. So I was born in Brahmavar and brought up in Salem. Salem is in Tamil Nadu. So all my schooling happened in Salem. All my college happened in Coimbatore, Vettimadai Amrita College. So during one of the school in 1991, one of the school days, there was an incident where on the road, people knew that we were Karnataka. There was fight between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka in terms of water, and they said you go behind the house if people throw stones. There was big fight, right? So there was an incident where my dad said we are two brothers and my mother. So we all went to the back of the house. The neighbor said in case there is some problem. Neighbor was a friend of ours, Tamil person. So he said, if there is any problem, you jump to our house. We kept ladder and all things like that. But nothing happened, meaning nothing happened. But the fear that something will happen was there. And I am a mix of both Tamil and Kannada. So I like both states so much. All my friends are from Tamil Nadu, all my family is from Karnataka. So I like both states really well. So I thought this problem we are fighting for 20 years, maybe eventually I'll work in water. That one thing came. That is one incident. Other incident, my dad wanted to do something on water in 91, 92. See, with this friend, he tried to do some bottled sage, DM water, all that. So I saw the equipments, machinery, mixed chemicals, all that, but they could not sustain more than 2 years. It's all credit market for bottled water. Right? So he could not sustain. He decided to wind it off. So maybe these two incidents, working with chemicals, all this was there in my mind. But as you know, so you'll have to financially become stable before you really think what you want to do. So I didn't think about it in 91. So until I finished my the UK 2 3 years, then I started thinking what should I do. So I think these two incidents in back home from the childhood, and one incident in the UK where see every day for lunch we used to walk in the Tower Bridge, have baguette in the above Thames, right? Not even one day we get smell from Thames, meaning I never had smell coming out. And we see lots of tourists come take photos of the river. It looks so beautiful. We were thinking about rivers in India, so we never go to Belandur Lake and take photos, right? Meaning any lake, any river which is contaminated, we don't take photos. Meaning it's all there in our city as well, but we don't. So that again kept on pondering what should we do. So I wanted to do something on these lines. So I moved back in 2008. These three incidents, I think, over time, if I see these three incidents changed the way we work on water. When I moved back, I initially thought water is a very difficult segment to do, right? So I wanted to do something like Flipkart, something which makes good money, and then I thought I'll help schools, colleges doing on water. But 1 month I thought I'll do something on it, but it was not really exciting for me. So as soon as you move back, right, anyone wants to use up some money, they'll go to schools in the rural area. I also did the same thing, went to rural schools. Or how will the kids help? We put some system. 4 5 years I spent on that. I realized that we do some money based investment on the school, right? So 1 year someone will come and do the CSR. Next year the equipment is not working. You need one more CSR to maintain it. So I was thinking I keep doing something, but it doesn't last. Meaning there is no lasting impact. So 5 years we spent just like Marwadi trading. We buy something, solve some small, very small problem, and it's not working. 2014 15, I lost my mother to cancer. So during that time my mother father both were asking, do you really want to go back to UK? Me, I had contacts back in UK. Do you really want to go back, or do you see significantly want to do something here? Then you can't be a trader. You'll have to significantly. So that kept me thinking. My brother and dad said, if you want to do seriously something, we can put all our assets onto collateral and do anything you want, but you'll have to be serious on what you are doing. Meaning not this charity stuff, because it's not creating impact, not creating impact for you also. Then I decided, okay, we start looking at impact. And then it became really serious after my mother passed away. So it keeps ringing, do something impactful. Otherwise, see, you will end up either doing some good money, but when you turn 65, 70, you become an angel investor, you start investing in companies, but still you don't get that joy of constructing something, infrastructure, something unique. So we started focusing on wastewater recovery from 2015 onwards.
Yeah, I think what you said is correct, because people who are semi-retired or retired, they just start angel investing, but you still don't get that satisfaction of building something ground up. So I think a lot of people listening to this will be able to relate to that. And I was actually reading a report from 2017 from the ISE, and it said that Bangalore was once known for its numerous lakes, and now only has 81, and this was in 2017, probably now a lot less than 81, and because of urbanization and paving over water bodies. And also, what was interesting was that nearly half of Bangalore's municipal water supply is actually lost to leaks and theft, and groundwater has drastically reduced due to over extraction. Did I'm just trying to understand, why is it lost to leaks and theft? And I know electricity theft is a big issue, uh, but water theft as well?
Yeah. So I'll give a background on if you see the topography, geographically, Bangalore is a hill, right? 300 meters hill. Okay. The Kaveri River is 300 meter below, which is 1,000 feet below the Bangalore's. It is a hill. Imagine a hill at center of Karnataka or on the eastern part. So you imagine a hill. Okay. The river is below the hill. Okay. And that time, the population, when they decided to pump the water from Kaveri to Bangalore, that was we are humans are superior in terms of proving our technologies, all that, right? So we wanted to make the city sustainable. We started pumping water from the river 100 kilometers away at 1,000 feet height, meaning 300 meters height. We pump it to Bangalore. Okay, so all the pipelines which was designed, all that was for pumping the water against gravity across 65 substation to pump the water, which will cater to a very small population. That was the idea when they started. That was the idea, cater to very population. Now Bangalore used to be in 1700s used to be called as the city of thousand lakes. So there used to be thousand lakes. So the water once pumped, right? The idea was once you pump the Kaveri water, you use it for a distribution, and it is very small amount you pump only for emergency, and rest all lakes will manage. Only during droughts we'll have to depend on Kaveri water. That kind of scenario was the start, right? Now, because of very fast development, right? So these lakes, 1,000 became, now at the current situation, it's around 188, out of which 169 is fully contaminated. So there is no enough lakes. This is the current situation. Now, coming to the leaks, see, all the pipes were done long time ago. Okay, the volume which it could take was planned much lesser. We didn't expect such a huge growth very fast in a very short span of time. If you see UK, what it does in 25, 30 years, it's done in 7 years in India in terms of growth, in terms of population, in terms of government infrastructure which has to be built. Right? So now at this speed, they have done all the pipelines. Right? Pipelines are old. It will it will naturally give away. But if they get into the infrastructure change now, they can't do any other work. Government's current BWSSB budget all goes in just pumping the water all the way from Kaveri to Bangalore. There is no budget, there is no big team who can manage. If you see the say 2% of population in UK, I think 2 or 3, my numbers might be wrong. Don't hold me to the numbers. But 2 or 3% of the population will work for government to manage a certain population, right? Here it will be 0.1, 0.2%. See, so we can't blame the government. From their side, they're doing what they can. So the leakages to fix is a big infrastructure work which they undertake, and they have to raise. It is a democracy, so they have to do a lot of stuff. But what people have resorted to, see, current leakage they say is around 26%. So you said about 50%, right? So they have got it down to 26%. So now what they see is this leakage is contributing to the groundwater table in the city indirectly. Meaning city, if you go to Kaban Park, Lalbagh, if you go 20 feet, 30 feet below, you just do a shallow filter borewell, you will get water. That's because predominantly of the leaks which is addressing the city. Now, doing a big, large infrastructure change requires road cutting, entire thing. So they are trying to address area by area, ward by ward, where they can fix, where it is viable. They keep doing that, and slowly 1%, 2% over the next 10 years, I think they should be. They say 3 years, 5 years, but I see at least 7, 8 years. It should come down to less than 10% leakage. Right? So leakage is first problem, which government is trying to address, but there is no fast way to do things in our country. Meaning there is no fast way to do. Okay. Second thing, now see, we have always planned the cities infrastructure. All cities in India, all cities of the growing economy, we always, the government plans from the water which comes to the dam. Okay. Say BWSSB in Bangalore or MIDC or Pune, whoever decides to distribute the water, their first starting point is what is the level of the water in the dam. Okay. They see the level of the water in the dam and they measure the population, and then they say, I will distribute this quantity of water from the dam. Okay. But if you see advanced countries, US, all of them plan, these are centralized infrastructure, very well planned infrastructure. The starting point is from the wastewater going out of the city, which is more predictable. You know the population, you know the water going out of the city. You plan the industrial water distribution, sanitation first, infrastructure first, then look at the fresh water supply. When it started that way in the US, in the UK, all that, it started that way. Now, here we don't look at what is going out of the city. There is no predictability of the water coming into the city because it's all dependent on rain. Now we are having scarcity, right? All the government officials, all of us are praying for rain. So it is not predictable. We don't have a logic to distribute. It is rain comes. Then we are all, so it is predominantly based on rain. We don't depend on the wastewater going out of the city. Okay, this is one big infrastructure which is currently creating problem. Okay. And government can't do decentralized setup. Now government can't do anything. We all say government has to do something, has to. Where will they bring water? Meaning they can't do anything until the municipal supply lasts in the dams which are supplying water, which technically should last till June 24th. Before that, we expect there is 1-2 rain. Then we are safe. If rain doesn't come, we are struggling. We are going to struggle. There is no other easy way. Meaning, I could be blunt, but there is no other easy way. We can't manage a city in 10 days, 20 days. It has to be some jugad work where immediately we find some water source from some lake, some tree. It will not permanent. Did I answer your question for leakage? Second thing on the topography.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that came up is the lakes, right? So the lakes are contaminated, but if the lakes were not contaminated, does Bangalore at the moment have the kind of lakes to sustain the population that it has right now?
So lakes contribute to two things. One, biodiversity, animals coming, a lot of ecology related stuff. Second, it contributes to some lakes contribute to the groundwater table. So in Bangalore, the percolation is less, meaning it doesn't go everywhere in different regions. But in most lakes, say Bellandur, there are few regions where the percolation is good, the groundwater table increases if there is good water in all the lakes. Okay. The groundwater for the growth, for every 100 liters we pour as rain to the surface, we are extracting around 135 to 145 liters, right? So we will never have enough water in the ground because the amount which goes inside, we way far away, far more than what we put, we extract far more than what we put, right? So groundwater will never be sufficient. Okay. Kaveri municipal water, we always keep planning by phases. In this phase will cater to this population, but the phase of the speed of implementation doesn't happen to the design. Meaning, if people plan to deliver water in 2 years, it takes 4 years to deliver. Lot other complexities from their side, so it takes longer. So with the current growth, both municipal water at 2030, if you see, we won't have enough municipal supply, we won't have enough groundwater. So the Bangalore has to move towards Mysore or some other city. We can't sustain, meaning we can't have more companies coming in, we can't have more population coming in. If we really want to grow as a city, it's not just Bangalore, it's Chennai. Chennai luckily has a port. Any wastewater goes to the sea, the enforcement. So, but places like Coimbatore, Hyderabad, all the Delhi, Pune, all these places, right? Jaipur, Agra, all these places. The only way the city can sustain after 2030, sustain growth, right? Then the only way is to see at what is going out of the city. Okay. Now, from the government side, there is National Draft Water Reuse Policy, which is going to come next year. It is still drafted. Okay. There is good activity which is happening in terms of planning. Good minds are working on it, but it doesn't happen for a large country. It doesn't happen so fast, right? By the time there is some activity going to get implemented, there is different views which is coming. The team which was there moves out. Different views which is coming, which questions the intention. There could be right intention. There could be wrong intention. So it takes longer for things to get implemented in our country. So for cities, the only way to sustain is not the centralized. We have gone past the centralized network. Centralized network is for emergency, meaning it's for routine, non-critical application. Decentralized network is the only way for countries like India, Philippines, Bangkok, all the developing Indonesia, all this. The only way is to decentralize it and not dependent on government heavily. Okay. So this is my view. So there are few people who says government has to take care of all these people who moved from developed countries. Like I also moved from developed country to here, right? From outside, it looks like why can't government do this? Why can't government do this? But now I also was the same. Meaning when I moved, I blamed everyone. I went and sat in government offices. So each one, from each one's perspective, there is a different set of things which needs to work. From the government side, there is huge democratic burden on them to get anything done, right? Able IAS officer come, people think he comes next 3 months, everything will change. No, by the time he formulates, does something significant in terms of policy, there is change. There is change in terms of his role in that department. There is so much change. So the only way cities get solved, I believe, is the small and medium companies who want to really do impactful work beyond money, right? Social entrepreneurship, money comes very late, meaning if you don't have the drive to get things done, it won't happen. People give up in 2 3 years and then it's difficult. So it has to be a life of dedication, otherwise social thing can't happen.
Yeah, so in most developed countries, there is a central distribution system. So there is a water authority uh, or a public works company that distributes water. So there is a way to track how much each person is using the water. And from my growing up days in India, uh, I realized that there is a central distribution system in some places, but there are these local sources like wells, or someone has a pond, someone digs their own bore well, etc. uh, I am kind of ignorant about how that works. So is there a quota on how much you can extract from the bore well at any given point in time? Because so let's say there are two apartments, right? One is a four storied apartment, the other is a 20 storied apartment, both of them next to each other. The groundwater is relatively same for both. So what if the 20 floor apartment uh, just pumps in a lot more water? So is there a way to regulate that as well?
See, in terms of regulation, regulation is all there. Meaning there is a limit to how much you extract. There is you will have to register your borewells, but the enforcement is very difficult from government side. Say let's say about tanker network, or let's say about two apartments, right? So if it is a good builder, large builder, he will register all his borewells and he will extract how much ever he can. Meaning there is no metering for it. The regulation is to get approvals to dig borewell. So the approvals don't come in over exploited area. Say you are in Bomasandra, you can't dig borewell without a permission, right? You should not legally can't do. But will people follow legal norms, right? So that is very difficult. I'll come to the tanker network, right? The standard way is if someone digs 10 borewells, they'll register only one. They won't declare other registered borewells for the reason that if you declare, you can't supply water, right? So there is no metering for borewell, how much you extract. Okay. On the other side, why can't government enforce this? See, any enforcement is done for 10% of population. If 90% follow, this I learned it from our BWSSB commissioner. He used to be IFS officer before. So he said IPS officer before. So in one of the conversations, so why can't government enforce 90% of population, right? There is no enough bandwidth for enforcement to happen for 90% population. 90% has to be good, and the 10% enforcement can happen, right? Enforcement capacity is to enforce it for 10% who are bad, meaning who are not following legal. Now, in our country, the enforcement can't happen because 90% is doing the illegal stuff and 10% is what following the legal. So, how do you enforce it for 90%? So, that is the government side challenge. On the usage side challenge, okay, government is not able to supply municipal water in peripheries outside of the city. Now, how will they sustain? They have to dig borewell. If they dig one borewell, they can't supply it to that site. Government might say you don't dig borewell, but the tankers can't supply it. So we always keep saying they are mafia and things like that. We have been dependent on them forever. We can't call them. They are less mafia than government, than all of us, than industries. They have catered to the industries where government can't supply. They are the only source of water. They have played that role for 35 years. Now we can't blame. So they have catered to that water market illegally. But that was the only way, meaning, how will otherwise people supply water? They obviously did business, but they obviously served a segment of water which wanted water, right? So, from the government side, enforcement is a problem. From the user side, water availability is a problem. For this, though, again, if we increase the availability of water, then this will automatically solve. People will depend less on the exploited borewell water and more on the supply water if the supply side is stabilized, right? How will supply side get stabilized? When we don't have enough water, how will government supply, right? That again will be solved decentralized. Say an apartment is buying 1 lakh liters and they're treating the wastewater and using only 20% of the water. 80% again they have to buy fresh water. If this 80% comes down to 20% again, only 20% fresh water by ways of recovery, technology, all that, then their dependency on that region from the borewell reduces, right? And on the other side, government increases the supply by all these measures, recovery in the centralized treatment plant, then cities can grow. We don't have to depend on enforcement. People will follow norms. Then 90% will start following norms and 10% violation government can enforce.
Okay, so just to double click on that borewell side, so I'm talking about borewells that apartments dig on their compound or on their plot. So let's say there is a four-storied apartment that has seeked permission. So they only seek permission to dig the borewell, but not for the fact that they can only pump 200 liters per day or 300 liters per day. So there is no quota for that. They can pump as much as they want.
They can pump as much as they can, but the current situation is they can't pump. There is no water to pump.
Yeah,
It
right.
gets stopped after. Yeah,
Right.
but there is no measurement.
I think that is a huge gap because, as cities expand, so let's say someone constructed a house in Yelahanka or somewhere in probably the early 1990s, then the resources is all for themselves. And now when the cities expand and more apartments come in, everyone is fighting for the same resource. So, and there is no monitoring, which is
Correct.
extremely sad because that's the only way you can penalize or even incentivize people, right?
See, monitoring is the next phase when water is available, right? See, if this monitoring was planned in 90s or say 2000, starting 2000, then it would have made real value to everyone because it's in the planning stage where monitoring is done, distribution is restricted, things like that. Now there are some 3 lakh borewells, right? 3 lakh, 3.5 lakh borewells just in Bangalore, right? It doesn't make commercial sense also to put a monitoring because there is hardly any yield in that borewell, meaning there is hardly any water. People will question, why do I invest, say, 25,000, 30,000 on a borewell monitoring when I'm getting only 5,000 liters per day? The cost of water is lower than the cost of meter. Even if you amortize it longer, there is meter calibration, things like that. So, and see, borewell, no one puts metering for the reason that when the yield is less, you don't want to restrict the water coming via meter, right? So, little difficult. But what metering is good now is metering for meaning theft prevention, metering for leakage detection, all that. See, there is two perspective of putting meters. Okay, we see in apartments. Since you told about apartments, we see two mentalities of people why they put meter. Okay, see, normally people don't want to waste water. See, we all say people, someone wastes out of 100 people, there will be two people who are not at all conscious and waste water. Normally, people are good. That is what I feel. We have spoken to 200 plus apartment in Electronic City region where every apartment owner or president says people waste water, all that. But out of 200 people, one, two people are just not conscious to spend. They are, meaning they're naturally like that. They do that in every other situation of their life, right? But normally people are good, people are conscious, people are aware that there is water scarcity. Normally people don't waste water. Okay. Now, if you want to put a meter for the sake of finding the thief in the apartment, right? So for 200 people, two people are bad. To get these two people online, you're making 200 people put meter, right? And significant investment. So people are naturally good, is what I feel. Don't No one wants to really wait for finding two people. You put meter for 200 apartments. Okay, the meter costs you 200 rupees per month. Your water costs you 200 rupees per month. Meaning it's double the cost, right? Installation, all that is a big headache. But if the intention of meter is to prevent leak, right? The say one tower in that apartment, there is heavy leakage. Their per capita is 135, but suddenly it's shot to 196. They put meter for the intention of finding leakages, finding external theft, things like that. Then that is the right intention to put meter. Okay. The intention to put is to catch the thief within the apartment your neighbor is using, he is only 2%. All that ends up like, see, it won't sustain, meaning he will find a different way to bypass that meter, meaning it's so easy where people can do anything they want. See, if they're that bad, they will do anything they want. So if that is the intention, the whole country, see, I feel people are naturally good, but most of them feel people are naturally bad. It's up to the person whom they see. Few people say you take the stick, it will work. Stick will work until the stick is taken up and shown to them, right? The day you put the stick down, they'll revert back to that. But if you push a mechanism where uh, there is data seen, this block is always high, this block is always high, something like that, this leakage, eventually people who are bad, when you keep talking about good things happening in the apartment, people will eventually realize that okay, all these guys are, it's I think Mahatma Gandhi style, I don't know. But I think that's, economics wise that makes sense, viability wise that makes sense, sustaining good community that makes sense, because that's the only way you build communities, right? There are lots of differences in this idea why to put meter and all that. But out of 16 years, I've seen people are naturally good in terms of water, at least in area in Bangalore. I feel based on apartment, they're naturally good. That is my view.
So you come back to India, you spend a few years trying to figure out what you want to do, and then your family comes in support for you. Um, and then how did you start this company? Like, how did you have a co-founder? Because it takes immense motivation and self motivation really to start a company of this scale. Yeah.
Right. So, 2008, came and started the company, meaning it was a proprietorship company before, and then we made it private limited in 2010. It was just me. 4 years it was trading, 4 5 years. 2015, we started focusing on this wastewater infrastructure. Now, I have my college friend Gautam. So we used to, I studied in Amrita, Coimbatore, right? So we, in one of the cases, Abdul Kalam, sir, he had come for a talk. Okay. So all the cream top guys were in the stage. Going, me and Gautam were in the last seat. We got up late that day. We were so lazy. We got up in the last seat, and Gautam and me, we talked about saying, okay, so we have to do something in future together, do some business together. he is also a sort of person where our ideas match, meaning we always talked about at 65 age, we should feel that 65, 70, we should feel that we have done something impactful. We were talking during the college days, but we got on to making money sort direction. He also got on to that. 2015, when I started seriously, where I started getting some recognition in the local media and things like that. He also felt I'm really serious about what we are doing. He asked in 2016, he said he was working with Cisco. He worked with multiple IT companies. He built a house. He said, okay, I'm little stable now. I can join you if you're interested. Then he joined me in 2017. Okay. Now, though I am from electronics background, I did work in electronics for a long time, but he has been always in electronic side. He has been, so when he came, he said, we set up these systems, right? They're pretty manual intervention. We had a team where people go on site, a lot of manual intervention. So Gautam said that, see, if we have to really scale, we have to automate maximum to it. I have worked on IoT and things. IoT was just picking up. So he said, why can't we do some innovation in this? So he came in and he decided to join. He is the co-founder. So he is also not driven by money, but by impact. Uh, he is exactly same. In a way, it is bad, but somehow we don't get into fights as partners. We have our lazy times. We have our aggressive times. So most of the times it happens when he is aggressive, I am lazy. When I am lazy, he is aggressive. So meaning it happens like that. So he built in this IoT stuff initially, where initially when we set up this equipment, right? So I'm sort of risk taker. He's sort of frugal in terms of expenditure, so which works really well for us. So I put an equipment in one of the apartment complex. I put my dad's house on collateral to raise money for that, for an equipment, where I used to send people uh, for 12 hours to monitor, meaning one person has to be there for 12 hours in one of the projects. So where they give the treated STP water to us, we produce potable quality water, and that is used for cooling tower. That equipment we had already made. I had already invested on that big risk. He felt that that risk was not. You put so much risk. All the 14 years, 10 years you have done risk. You can't take such risks now. But we have to make it commercially viable. You can't put a person there completely. So he started working on this IoT sensors. Gautam started working on the IoT sensors. We tried various sensors, how to take data. Over time, he built this saying that you don't have to send person every day now. Now that person resource gets freed from the site, and then we get data to through Amazon Web Services, and we get data to our cloud, and then we monitor the system remotely. When the water flow comes down or pressure comes down, pressure increases, we send people only then. So initially it was instead of daily, it make alternate day, and then slowly the sensors quality improved, additional sensors were put, it became weekly. Now it's gone to a stage that monthly twice we're sending. So that big change reduced our operating cost significantly, made our system viable, right? So that Gautam came in, and because of him, we are able to do IoT a bit. Then we moved little bit of ML. Now we are working something on AI. I don't know how it will help us, but all these work, there's significant work, thinking work he does. So I do the front facing work, little bit on sales, little bit of he manages operations. So we are fortunate, we have got good people, 25 people in the team now, so 26, so good people joined us.
Yeah, I think we fast forwarded a bit there, but I would really love to double down on the technology, the fundamental technology on which the system operates, and how did you go about getting technology expertise to design this?
Right, so we didn't get any experts from outside. Okay, we have done the normal RO system, so industrial RO system, which we have done 1,000 plus systems before 2015, meaning then we started looking at what innovative things can be done in the basic treatment plant. Then I looked at what
Just for the
Singapore is
audience,
doing.
what is RO?
Reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis. Industrial RO is a technology which purifies bad water to good water. That has always been there. We have looked at other countries. What I traveled to Amsterdam. I was in the UK, so I know what all systems work, travel to Singapore and things like that. We understood what other countries are doing to convert STP treated water to potable quality water. Namibia has been doing for 51 years. So we understood what all people do. So we used the same setup which we already had, how to make it viable for our city. That is what we started focusing on. So luckily during that time, one layout called Vakil Satellite Township in 2014, they had 6 borewells. All the 6 borewells were dry. They were buying tanker water. They had a STP. STP is sewage treatment plant. So any layout, any apartment will have sewage treatment plant. All the sewage gets treated and they end up using it for gardening and flushing. That layout was not even using it for gardening efficiently because there was smell coming out. So they approached us and they said, that was the first call. We said, can you supply water? They said. Then they said, we have ourselves wastewater which we are draining. Is there any way we can uh, recover it? And they had an internal pond, small pond. Can we give it to that? We went and we thought we'll put a normal RO system with basic treatment. We thought it will all work. So we went and set up the basic RO system, sand filter, carbon filter, all that basic RO system. 3 months down the line, it completely choked, meaning all the membranes, everything got choked. It didn't work. Okay, that was a starting point. Then we told the customer, you don't invest. It was our mistake. We will do all the investment to make it up and right. We got 2 more months time from them. And then we changed all the material. We put a different kind of membrane. We altered the pre-filtration. So all the core technology in 2015 with the luck of that layout, but we spent all our profits went on finding that. So many things we did, it didn't finish in 2 months. Again, it choked. So around 7, 8 rounds of the whole year, customers angry with us. What are these guys doing? But they were being patient because they were not expecting this water to serve that. Luckily, it was from May to December. We got time. It was rainy. There were no scarcity issue. They already had water, so they gave us enough time to rework on the whole equipment. And by the end of 6, 7 months, we had done so many iterations to make it viable and sustain the cost and the quality of water. So the core technology got developed there on what materials to use. We applied for patent in 2019 only. We last month we got the patent approved. It is a design patent on the equipment, which is advancement in the RO technology and the pre-filtration technology and all the stages which we put before the membrane. That is, and along with IoT and ML now, that is the patent which we have. So the core technology was there in terms of producing water that time. On that, IoT and ML came into picture by Gautam's effort after 2015 on the same system. Once we did that system, we know that we could put the system. So I put the system in RMZ. Once Gautam came, then it became commercially viable because of IoT.
So when you got started, were there other players already existing who were doing this similar RO treatment of sewage water into potable water?
Yes, so there are 200 companies who are working on RO conventional, 200 plus companies, even now 200, 250 companies, just in Karnataka. I'm not saying India, just in Karnataka, so many companies are already there. See, they all of them look to sell the product, right? So we also were in that mode. I lost my mother in 2015. My mode changed after that. If I commit something to the customer, I don't leave until I finish the commitment. So that inspired. We spent 3.5 times more than the investment which the client gave after that, right? That effort we took over time, I think that was the change. We didn't want to give up that customer because what we say we at least do at the starting stage of business at least, right? So we wanted to give them good quality water and we knew that this is the way forward because STP led. So that was already there. So other companies, when they are looking to sell product, make money, meaning they won't get in, they'll just give up, meaning they'll just give up. That was the difference. Then even now, people are into trading. They make good money. They make better money than us. They make crores of rupees. But ours is not, the intention and drive is not the trading part, it's the impact part. But we want to make it impactful, also making money for the business, right? So we won't sustain, we will burn out if we don't make money. So we're trying to mix and match to the maximum extent. So few of our investors. So last year we raised investment, few of investors. While you talk, it is like NGO talk only, meaning. But we are good in numbers as well. We don't default because we have committed again to our investors. We're good in numbers as well. But the drive comes from the impact which we created. So other companies are there. I wish other companies should come. So there, Bangalore, we did an estimate. 50 companies like us is required to solve Bangalore's problem. Imagine India. So the scope is so high, but the problems are so high. 5 years of burning money, 5 years of struggle. If someone is willing to take 5, 7 years, then they can sustain. Otherwise, meaning they will give up. It's easier to make money by selling STP, selling RO in the water industry, and it's even more easier in Bangalore to find a easier industry to work, easier problem to solve. Right? This is a difficult problem. Too many entities. We have been lucky, right place, right time. So
So once you start the company, getting the first customers is difficult. And with something like this, it is even more difficult because it has to have 100% success rate. You cannot afford any sort of leakage or any sort of contamination come into the water, right? How did you get your customers into confidence, especially during the initial days?
Right. I feel we're still in the initial days. So with this industry, right? So 4, 5 years is the initial days. So this recovery, once we did for the first project, after that we got into a mode that we have to sell it for corporates, right? Now the corporates demand even better consistency in terms of quality, in terms of service commitment, all that. Okay. Now, how did we solve that? Is we didn't let the customer invest, meaning customer did not want to buy first thing, meaning they said we can't invest, we can't believe you have done one system which you have spent 8 months to rectify things. How can you trust? We trust. Second project, we directly approached corporate because we didn't want to do apartment because it was no apartment has a pond inside where they fill only few numbers will look at sustainability, all that. So the only way for us to do significant impact was this corporate. So we went and met RMZ EcoWorld. We were in front of 17 large MEP consultants to pitch. We had questions which we did not have answers, but the senior guys liked the drive which we wanted to do. Then finally, we believe you and invest 35 lakhs. How can we invest? In the table only, I decided to somehow put money, meaning I somehow raise money. I said, if you don't want to invest, I'll take risk. I will do the investment. I did not plan at that time, but in the meeting, I said I will do the investment because I was confident that this will work for them. So after we came out in the meeting, Gautam was not there at that time. So then I 35 lakhs. How do I put now? Like I didn't have that kind of money. That my brother, father said, "Don't worry, we'll risk it and put it." My wife also said that. So the first investment which we made worked really well for us. We recovered the investment in 1 year because we designed it so well that it could recover the cost really well. And so it worked really well. And unfortunately, the COVID came after that. We had agreement to do 11 projects at that time, 11, 12 projects. But it was 2019 when we installed this system. So 11, 12 projects were there. COVID came. Sewage itself is not there to treat. So it went on the other path. But our investment, luckily, we had just recovered the capital. We did not recover the OPEX. We were struggling still. Then just all the agreements had gone to large projects like brigade. All the we had aggressively told that we have put the investment here. And Gautam was also then said, I will also risk. You took so much risk. I'll also risk the next project. The next project, Orion Mall, where we did, he risked. I also risked. We put money from our side. So when we put our money, right, it became so necessary for it to make unit economics work, right? So it worked really well. Both the projects worked really well. And then slowly we did more projects. Now 17 of them we have done after that.
So all the RO companies in Karnataka are, I mean, the ones that you said, right? Like 200 of them, they are converting STP water to potable water, or
no, no. So if you put a normal RO to STP, it will choke in 15 days. The economics will not work, right? All the RO companies work on borewell water treatment, incoming water treatment, all that. We are the only company focusing on wastewater to potable quality water. For economics to be viable, our system works really well. They put normal RO, it'll end up at 12, 13 paisa per liter. Ours was 6, 7 paisa we are able to take.
Yeah, that was the rationale behind my question, is that how do you make customers get convinced to drink the water, right? Because I saw a lot of examples, I mean, couple of videos of Bill Gates uh, getting talk show hosts into confidence, and he drinks it and he is fine and all of that, right? So uh, that is quite, that must have quite been quite a challenge, right?
People currently also don't drink. We should be clear. There is no one drinking it. Our primary application was for cooling towers, laundries, all that. We did initially when we want to do, the idea was to make people drink. We aggressively spoke to 300 plus apartments. You're buying, we were fighting, meaning saying you are buying tanker water which has dead rat in it, cockroach in it. You don't test the water. Now we are processing it to 11th stage, you can't drink. So we tried to convince 300 plus apartments. We had cases where the apartment association don't come inside, there is a big fight going on, wait at the gate, people are aggressive, people are angry that we are going to set your system up, all that. So lot of drama happened. We met 300 plus apartments. We could not convince anyone to drink. Even now no one is drinking it, right? But there is bigger commercial value if we are able to cater to industrial sector, right? But eventually, will people drink? This scarcity has showed during this time. Now, people have taken it for drinking. It required a scarcity scenario to come for people to test, try all this. I'll tell a few cases. One apartment where we have set up, they asked us to put our system far away from the freshwater supply line, far away on the other side of the apartment, right? So that we don't have access to any way to mix there, and because they were so afraid, right? It's natural for they saw our RNG plant, they saw our Orion plant, they drank water, all that has happened. But in spite of that, they have a feeling that sometimes if it fails, what will we do? Things like that. We put it far away. Okay. 6 7 months every we gave a tap there, people took water, the security guard comes, fills his water bottle and takes it home, things like that. They fill in 20-liter can, takes it home, things like that started slowly happening. Tanker guys coming and asking this water for supply, all these started, they kept on seeing, kept on testing the water. Their borewell water had E. coli, total coliforms, bad water. Swimming pool becomes yellow in color and things with the tanker water. All these they saw over a period of time. And then they said, okay, now we'll start taking it for swimming pool. The same guys who were very aggressive in terms of not having this took photos of their kids swimming in the swimming pool, sent photos. My kid is swimming pool is very safe, good, and uh, this it took that kind of work in one apartment at least. Now, other apartment will say they didn't want to put the system, but they wanted to buy this water via tankers to them. Okay. So we were supposed to supply tanker. We don't have our tankers, right? We depend on the local. We can't have our tankers. A lot of things happening in that. So that's a big topic in itself. So we were supposed to supply water at 10. We called and said tanker was not available. So we'll supply at 3. So there's the message was already gone that we supply water at 10 o'clock. They started saying 10 o'clock, the group started saying itching has started, this water is black, all that. We didn't even supply water, right? The perception plays a big role. People started feeling there is itching, someone was saying throat infection. Even before we supplied the water at 3, but no one told, they didn't know. They called, they said, we have not even got water, it's Kaveri water which is there in our tank, and you are saying it is itching. So then the next day only we supplied water. People didn't realize that there is a difference, it higher quality water, and now they are consistently buying our water because it's way better than any other water they have. So now that apartment is taking it for drinking application, it goes to their sump, it goes to every other application, right? So when we don't have measurement for the tankers which we are buying, it is far better it's far better to rely on a system which you have control, which you can see it real time, which you can see the quality real time. That shift doesn't happen. So I don't think so. It will happen faster. So to answer your question, no one is drinking it except 1 2 apartments. Rest all is taking it for industrial purpose. So it is commercially viable. See, domestic segment, when they start getting fresh water after the rains, the cost is so cheap for them to depend on that water rather than our water. But industries, when they buy our water, their unit economics significantly benefits. So for them, that's a consistent market for us. That consistent impact also is from their own, right? So that is our focus area. So technically it is drinkable, but commercially it's viable to sell it to industries. Find value in this water.
Before convincing the customers that it is safe to drink, did you have to go through an excruciating process of regulations and compliance?
See, compliance ends up at STP, right? There is no compliance yet for this supply water because tanker is supplying. There is no compliance for tankers also, right? There is no compliance for them, no compliance for us. So we didn't have to go through any government regulations. There is no government regulations as of now. We are building with the government, with various agencies, with Bangalore Apartment Federation. We are in the process of building. We are the only company doing this, right? So we are the in the process of giving them numbers which is commercially viable. What policy has to come? So we are a part of policy framework where compliance will come now. We are creating a burden for ourselves, but it is good for city, meaning all the norms which we did not have to follow so far, we will come under the radar to follow all the norms. New teams will come, but we are a part of forming these policies now for our country. And it's a policy throughout the world, meaning no one has done decentralized water circular economy. So this will be the benchmark across India. But we are giving all the numbers. There is no other benchmark, no other standard set, right? So compliance is not there for us currently, but it will come for us. We have only designed. It will come. It might backfire, but it is required for the city.
Yeah, this is hilarious. I was actually looking at a meme that America innovates, China copies, European Union regulates. So in this case, this is so funny that Boson Whitewater innovates, Boson Whitewater regulates. you know, this is so.
It's we're not doing that. We're just giving the data because data what needs to be done for the city. All the agencies are putting enough efforts. It's not, I'm not saying we are doing business, meaning we are selling water, but all the data needs to be formulated, put in right form to the government. There are various agencies involved. There is community involvement, Bangalore Apartment Federation's involvement, Well Labs involvement. All these people come together. Biome Trust, they are super NGO, meaning they understand the city. They see all. They have been in the industry for a long time with the right kind of people, right? Policy level, it goes.
Yeah.
So we are happy that we are a part of policy making. Next 10 years, 12 years down the line, these policies will become really impactful. Yesterday, government sent that government is ready to pay 8 rupees per kiloliter for the STP treated water. So now government themselves say apartments that you can sell, right? You can give the water, meaning we will now have to start paying apartments for that. We only, but so far we have been paying rent. Now that converts to little higher cost for us, but it is necessary for the city. Little burden for us currently, short term, but for anyone coming into the industry, it is a good benchmark policy.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, because before we end this podcast, I want to ask you. So, you are kind of eating into the business of the tanker quote unquote mafia. Did you face any resistance from them?
When we did the first project, we also called them mafia. We also were afraid of them. We had all police station visits. I had to move from one house to the other. All these has
Did you get
happened. Meaning,
threats?
see, it is not called threat. It is talking. Meaning, some 9 people come to your office at night, 9:30, and my house was one floor above. So 9 people coming to the office. Meaning, I didn't want 9 people coming to office,
It's like
wife, kids,
flexing the
all of.
muscle, right? Yeah, that's.
No, yeah. So they said, you don't do the system. We will buy the system and do it ourselves. Meaning, but it was not a threat. Now they are helping us supply water. Meaning, now the equation change. They are friends with us. Meaning,
Hmm.
we are a part of mafia. If you call mafia, but see, from their perspective, now I feel it's all right. But that time we were very fearful of the fact that how do we transport this water? we set up a recycling unit, right, in an apartment or in an IT park, their water consumption significantly comes down 50%. Someone is doing 25 lakh billing, he will get 5 lakh billing, and we will do 1.5 lakh billing. The customer benefits significantly, water gets saved. So it is a threat for their business. Okay. So they are right in the part coming and asking what are we doing. From their way of asking is 10, 8 people come together. That's the way they ask, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't listen, meaning wouldn't listen. So it happened. We went through all that cycle. We understand one thing, right? So it is very localized. Tanker network is very localized. Okay. You can't do business without their support. You can't dominate that market. There are like 4,000 tankers, 7,000 tankers. One company can't put that tanker and manage the entire sector. Okay. But if they're able to use that network locally, say Electronic City, we have few people who very good people. If you know really well, they're very good people. They are more fair to us than other business entities which are there. They're more fair. They're more fair than MNCs. They're more fair in terms of working. But we should not cut into their market is their intention, which is the right competition, but their way of expressing is little different. So now they are helping us transport the water. We need their network to solve the city's problem. Municipal water is only 50%. Government can only supply 50%. How will the population get the remaining 50%? So we need that network, right? It's different in each road. The guys, so it is very localized how you handle. You need to know the local language. You need to know the local on that road who's the big guy. There is a separate WhatsApp group where our vehicle number is known in that group. Someone takes a photo. This vehicle is roaming in our road. Should we let them? Should we not let them? Lots of things are there, right? So it is like territory. Each one has their territory. It because they have done it for 30 years, they don't want to move out. So, but it helps us. Meaning they're now because of scarcity. Also, they understand that what we do is required. Mm, We are looking to work with few tankers who can take contracts of our equipments where interest. We give as a lease to them. They give a consistent revenue to us and things like that. But yeah, it is an important point to solve. There are few aggregators who try to bypass. See, the intention, if the intention of an aggregator is to kill the market, they wouldn't let them kill it, right? If the intention of the market is to collaborate and use their network and beneficial for everyone in the cycle, then they support it. Meaning, initially, what we did was against them. We said we're going to fight. We are going to have all the influence, all that. I realized whatever influence, nothing is going to happen. Prime Minister comes also, nothing is going to happen because it's we are dependent on them and pretty strong network. We need them to solve the problem. So yeah, I'm a part of mafia if you call mafia. So, but we are soft mafia, meaning we help the city. So
Yeah, but well, you are solving a much bigger problem, so it's okay. Well, because it was excellent chatting with you. I think you identified a problem that has been something that you have been passionate about since childhood. I mean, remember you telling about the stories that really pushed you to work in water. And I think it's a very important problem, not just with cities developing, but also with other factors like climate change uh, and rivers drying up, etc. So uh, I hope every apartment has your system in them, and I wish you all the very best.
thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure talking. I have been talking most of the time, story, boasting, all that. Sorry if I was overboard, but thank you for the opportunity to talk.
No, it was required. I mean, you built a company. Anyone who builds a company will have interesting stories to tell. So it was just that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Balaji.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.